Hi, everyone. This is Desmond at Blackburn. Thank you so much for allowing me to go ahead and join you, and welcome to this year's Purpose Conference. I'm so honored to be one of your speakers here today, and I trust that you'll enjoy today's subject, which is how to avoid the perfection trap in business and in ministry, the perfect guide for imperfect people. So let's go ahead and get started here, matter of fact, so we can go ahead and get this presentation going. First of all, a little bit about me. For a lot of you guys, some of you guys know you, a lot of you guys don't. For those of you joining us both here nationwide as well as worldwide, thank you for allowing me to go ahead and come into your space. So who am I? I'm the founder of Desmond A. Blackburn, LLC, Peak Performance Coaching. I am a full-time clarity, strategy, and accountability coach. I'm a speaker as well as author of 3 books, including my latest one called How to Fire the Devil as Your Life Coach, Why Christians Fail and How to Stop. I'm also the host of the podcast called Getting Clear with Coach Desmond. And since August of 2019, I have professionally coached over 125 professionals in this space. Very, very fortunate, very, very blessed. Also too, there is no title that can be compared to my favorite titles, which is that of husband to my wife, husband to my wife, Deneen, for the last this will be 20 years of marriage. So very, very happy for that, as well as father to my 2 amazing young adults in training here and also Kyle and Chloe Blackburn. Love these guys to pieces. All right, so now that you got a little bit knowledge in terms of who I am, let's get started, shall we? All right, wonderful. Okay, so before we do so as well, cannot forget to go ahead and give a tip of the hat to the Zoe Association of Churches for this amazing opportunity. Thank you so much, Bishop Ed Smith, and also a big shout out to Josie Martin, who's been instrumental along with her team in terms of helping to go ahead and get things corralled and organized for today's benefits. And to the both of you and to all of you, and for those I did not get a chance to mention by name, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it and get started. First of all, have you ever been called a perfectionist? Yeah, I bet even in some cases that was basically even a badge of honor, being called a perfectionist. I imagine was pretty attractive. You're the person who seems like you're the person who's all about the details, very particular and all stuff, a person prone or at least desire to be excellent. I mean, that has a certain pedigree, doesn't it? I get it. Okay, so now, why are we talking about this? Well, in my practice, I mostly coach high performers, high achievers, and they're used to doing well, used to go ahead and getting results. But like most humans, on that, we all get stuck. And we find ourselves in places where we're asking ourselves the same questions. I know what I can do. I know what I should do. I just don't know why I'm not doing it, or in this case, not getting the results. There are a ton of reasons why this could be happening, okay? Why things simply stop working. Is it the economy? Could it be the environment? And also, could it be relationships? Could it be a pandemic? However, of all the factors that can affect a sudden change in productivity and satisfaction, a unhealthy embrace of perfection can be the cause. Let's continue. Today's presentation is designed to expose the subtle role that perfectionism can play in a person's ability to create blocks where there should be flow. We will demonstrate the differences between perfection and a desire for excellence. They are different. I'll show perfectionism's effect on business, relationships, and also ministries. Lastly, we'll discuss solutions on how to help restore flow and increase happiness by encouraging an environment of excellence and removing the stigma of being a perfectionist, or at the very least, correcting the perfectionist mindset. So what's wrong with being a perfectionist? Well, to answer that question, we got to be clear on a couple of things. We got to go ahead and basically set the stage. We got to understand the difference. Why? Because for a lot of years, depending on who you speak to, people have actually seen the qualities of being excellent and being a perfectionist as the same thing. They're not. So let's go ahead and start off, first of all, by defining what excellence is. And basically went to the dictionary for this one. And it's described as this: excellence is being good at a good thing. It means that you strive to be the best you can be, and to do the best you can do. Excellence reflects moral virtue and therefore strives towards what is positive, valuable, and praiseworthy. I'm reading the definition there. A person who strives for excellence, well, you've seen them before. And also maybe you were that person. Didn't matter, matter of fact, grade school, high school, college, you were the one setting the curve in almost every setting the curve. Matter of fact, in every class, we didn't like you, by the way. That you were the president of this club or that, manager of this or that. You were always getting promoted and became everyone's go-to person. You care about the details, and oftentimes you were rewarded for it. So what's wrong with that? Well, nothing at all. The spirit of excellence, this person genuinely cares about their performance, standards, process, procedures. And however, although they desire and work to be the best, they have a healthy appreciation for when things go inevitably wrong. Okay. Now, so they can, matter of fact, they can evaluate their shortcomings and simply do what? Move on. This group can emotionally and mentally take the win. This person can celebrate progress and give themselves permission to be what? Happy. Let's continue to go on. The spirit of perfection. The only role, and again, in fact, in my experience working for as many people as I have, both those who are coaching professionally and those that I've got a chance just to simply help throughout the years, the only role that perfection has ever played in the hearts and minds of high performers is the role of thief. Perfection has only one job, and that job is to steal your joy. Perfectionists set an unrealistic standard for themselves and others. Only when I shoot the arrow through the bullseye while hopping on one leg and singing the aria to Frozen in perfect pitch, then and only then can I allow myself to be happy. This is interesting because this person generally, matter of fact, this person right now who is operating in that, well, things, like I said, things kind of get a little bit wackadoo in terms of, well, perspectives. So, as we go forward, anytime you find a person like this, what ends up happening, there develops a narrow and limited standard in which joy is allowed to be experienced. Perfectionists rarely give themselves permission to be happy, and unfortunately, not just themselves, others. Okay, so instead of taking the win or finding a way to go ahead and find the silver lining, if you will, these individuals find themselves allowing small little errors to overshadow wins, to overshadow progress. On that, they have unreasonable obsession with these details, or in some cases, they're pursuing the affections of that one critic, even though a majority of their supporters are in love with their product or service. Not very healthy. Many of my clients realize that having a perfectionist mindset is also, well, unsustainable. Yeah, listen, let's be real here for a second. Even if you were a perfectionist from way back, you started noticing that while it did serve you at one time, it no longer does. And with such a narrow window to experience happiness, perfectionists experience less and less joy, even though the better and better they become, the more skilled they become, the more famous they become, the more money they're accumulating, but yet they're experiencing less and less joy. And again, as we talked about in both their work, and as a result of that, they also are the people around them are also experiencing less joy because they're having to work with them. They are increasingly frustrated and sometimes can be characterized as rigid, discouraged, and at times even angry. Hmm. Now let's go ahead and give a definition of perfection. The condition, state, or quality of being free or free as possible from all flaws or defects, being perfect. Okay. So guys, we want to go ahead and basically give a few aspects here that also show up in individuals who try to embrace that attitude of basically being a perfectionist as a lifestyle. And unfortunately, it's not very good. Let's go ahead and pick up on a few of these things. Let me know if you've recognized them before. On that, these individuals and all stuff, unfortunately, are highly critical, especially of themselves and others. They are oftentimes pushed by fear. Oh my gosh, if I don't do this correct, they're not going to like it. Well, they're not going to be approving. Oftentimes, you'll notice with perfectionists, they're constantly working very hard for nameless, faceless individuals that they imagine have a standard that they must meet. But you find that when you press them, they really don't know who the nameless, faceless individuals. They just know that there is some standard out there that they have to meet, and they are the ones who have to go ahead and meet it. The other thing is that these guys have almost an unhealthy focus on results. Yes, I'm results oriented as well, but when we're basically taking a quote unquote come hell or high water approach, to where basically nothing else matters. Sometimes you find these individuals sacrificing relationships, even their health, to go ahead and, matter of fact, to go ahead and achieve these things. The other thing too that you'll notice with, and this is probably the most dangerous portion, matter of fact, effect of perfectionism on these individuals is a overall fear of failure. Now, how does a fear of failure oftentimes show up in a very subtle way? Procrastination. Okay, the fear of failure, the fear of not looking good, the fear of basically embarrassing themselves on that, and also is absolutely huge among perfectionists. Why is this huge? Because here they all oftentimes come to the same outcome. They don't try. That's right. They don't move forward. Think about that manuscript that you still haven't written, that painting that you still haven't finished because it's not perfect. You're trying as you might. I've had individuals that have gone to the extremes that as we were all graduating from college and now, matter of fact, applying for certain jobs, getting into careers, individuals that were so scared of not basically being amazing or fearful that they are not amazing, decided to not to delay going to school and decided to go ahead and get one more degree. The problem with a lot of perfectionists is that they oftentimes have an either or, hot or cold, on or off mentality. If I don't get 100%, then I have failed. Really? Because last time I checked, anything over 90 was an A. But no, it has to be 100%. If I don't date this person, then I will never love again. Listen to the language, on or off. Not a lot of wiggle room for happiness. And when it's so narrow, guess how often that we're hitting that target of happiness? You guessed it, not very often. Let's continue to move forward. So how do you know? So you're probably saying, how do I know if I'm a perfectionist or a person who pursues excellence? Well, in case you're wondering, let's go ahead and put together a little story here. You let me know how you see yourself. So you've been now have been given charge of the company meeting, company retreat, whatever you want to call it. Pretty big deal. Lots of the high mucky mucks are going to go ahead and be there on that. And you want to make sure that you do a great job. Fast forward. Guess what? You did. People are now coming up afterwards and saying, Keisha, what an amazing job you did. You did fantastic. Even some of the top brass, matter of fact, there's a CEO, CFO, COOs, and all sorts coming up to you and saying, boy, what an amazing job. How did you pull this off? And everybody right now is your best friend. It could not get any better. But while everybody else is laughing, glad handing, and patting you on the back, you're the only person who hasn't quite arrived at the party, at least judging from your face on that. Everybody else is smiles and enjoy, but you're still hurting to maintain a half smile. Why? Well, it turns out that your caterer that you hired for event actually showed up to the event 1 hour late. Yeah, now due to some creative tap dancing, no one was the wiser, and folks enjoy the food. In fact, they loved the food. But because of the fact that this person interrupted what you considered was your perfect plans, you refuse to let it go. In fact, while everybody else is now on their way home thinking about the next thing, you're still in your head wondering how you could have avoided this, how you could have improved this. And even though everybody's enjoying, you're still brooding over the past. Question: is that you? If so, you're a perfectionist. Now, don't worry, it's not terminal. You won't die, at least not yet. Let's go ahead and move on here. All right. So, kidding aside, how can we fix this? If you've seen some of those features in the last screen there, and also hot or cold, matter of fact, either or mentality, unhealthy appreciation, matter of fact, unhealthy relationship with numbers, overall, and also easily frustrated, easily depressed. You can see how a lot of those things can get in the way of what momentum and change. A lot of you pastors right now are maybe dealing with assistant pastors or other staff members to where that spirit sometimes can go and get in there. And as you're trying to introduce new things, it's causing a bit of a bottleneck going on there. Hope the antennas are beginning to go ahead and wiggle here, because if you're able to go ahead and deal with this, matter of fact, constructively, you can now start finding a way to go ahead and get unstuck and start moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, let's go ahead and continue. So, how can we go ahead and fix it? Let's go ahead and get into some practical advice here. So, this is what I have all my clients go ahead and do. First and foremost, I want you to repeat after me. A matter of fact, I will praise progress and not perfection. Okay. I am progress and not perfection. Okay. Now, don't worry. It's not like you were supposed to be zapped with the Holy Ghost or balloons are going to go ahead and fall from the sky here. What does this confession do besides help you raise your voice? Well, it's designed to go ahead and get you to now take a breath, take a beat, and start now focusing on the right thing. Yes. What was the progress that we made here? What was the outcome on that? Did we get a chance to go ahead and move the needle in any area? You see what we did there? We started looking for ways that we were able to go ahead and move forward. A perfectionist mindset of this all or nothing type of deal only sees one path for victory, whereas a progress over perfection mindset sees many different paths. I'm reminded of that great quote by Martin Luther King, and it goes like this: "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, keep on moving." I'm sure he did not create this quote specifically for perfectionists, but this is definitely one we can go ahead and tie on. Why? Because in many cases, guys, the real end game here is to keep moving. And this is the reason why the perfectionist mindset or an unhealthy association with perfectionism oftentimes does the exact opposite. It gets you and sometimes the organization you manage to stop. And that's not a good thing. So if perfection sees a narrow path to happiness, then progress over perfection is equivalent to a 6-lane freeway. Okay. Please understand this. Progress is what makes us happy. And when we are happy, guess what's released? Energy and enthusiasm. Anytime you see somebody who's about to go ahead and get into burnout, or if they're already there, here's the two things you will not find among them: energy or enthusiasm. Trying to go ahead and, if you're trying to figure out why is there no longer life in your department going on here as well, matter of fact, no energy or enthusiasm, back up here. You may be finding that that's no longer there because we're not making any progress. And when there's no progress, people aren't being happy. And when you're not happy, we're not releasing. It doesn't domino into energy and enthusiasm. So when we make our focus on the outcome of moving forward, we increase our pathways for joy. Instead of focusing so hard on hitting the target, we now begin to widen the gaze. And when we widen our gaze, guess what? We begin to go ahead and see new and greater opportunities that we haven't seen before. This reminds me of that great scripture, Proverbs 15:15. It goes like this. New Living Translation, by the way. I kind of like it. It goes like this. Hey, to the loathsome man, every day brings trouble. But to the happy heart, life is a continual feast. I love that and all stuff. Please keep in mind, the person with a narrow view, matter of fact, are now prone to things like depression, frustration. After all, no one is able to go ahead and hit the mark, not even themselves. So if they're always seeing themselves getting frustrated, getting discouraged, even angry, in this scripture, they become the loathsome man for which every day brings trouble. But for the person right now who is now judging themselves on the ability to go ahead, hey, am I achieving the outcome? Am I giving myself opportunities to be what? Happy, be able to go ahead and make progress, allow myself to now release energy and enthusiasm. Guess what? I'm going to go ahead and see more of what? Opportunities to what? Win. And that's what happens when you have a, matter of fact, praising progress over perfection type of mindset. And for any organization, whether it's ministry or in business, we're looking for opportunities, my friend, because in many cases, the lifeblood of our business and our ability to stay alive is to go ahead and find ways to now find and to be able to capitalize on opportunities. All right, so let's go ahead and continue with this. So, what are the ways that we can do to go ahead and now work our way out of this mindset? Well, first things first, go ahead and get an accountability partner, hire a coach. This is the kind of thing that I'm doing with my many customers here, going on here to help us basically identify those blocks that are basically what blocking their flow. All right. And sometimes that can be hard to go ahead and see that within yourself. An accountability partner gets to go ahead and do that, or a person who's basically operating in that capacity. Secondly, I want you to go ahead and to embrace the worst case scenario. Now, bear with me, and also sometimes perfectionists can sometimes live too much in the always thinking about what's bad going to happen. But I want you, here's a little bit of a twist that we're going to add to this. All right. So oftentimes, and in a perfectionist will not try something because they believe matter of fact, they are afraid that it won't work out, that they will mess up, that they will fail. So in this case, then here's what I'm recommending. I need you to go ahead and agree that that's going to be the case. I want you to go there and I want you to do it in this way. So follow me, trust your coach. Here's what I want you to do. Matter of fact, at the count of three, I want everybody after the count of three to go ahead and say, it's going to suck. And that's okay. Ready? Here it is. 1, 2, 3. It's going to suck. And that's okay. Now, a lot of you out there are probably chuckling. It's like saying, man, what in the world is this speaker having us do? Going to the worst case scenario, and you start realizing, hold on a second, this is probably going to go ahead and suck. It's probably not going to be the best. It's probably not even going to basically be anything that's going to knock the world on fire. Okay? Now that pressure is off, now we can move. Remember, the perfectionist is so rigid in regards to thinking that what they're going to do is going to go ahead and fail. Once we remove the stigma of the pressure associated by whatever they're perceiving is going to happen, if they're not amazing out to shoot, typically allows folks to loosen up a little bit here and to simply try. You know, guys, people need to go ahead and understand that everything that's ever been done in this world, all in some way have followed the 5 pillars of progress. Now, some of you may be saying, I've never heard of the 5 pillars of progress. So let me go ahead and share with you exactly how that works. Here's how the 5 pillars of progress works. First, first you suck. Then you suck less. Then you're okay. Then you become good. And then after a while, you become great. Every single person, every single thing, even the smartphone you may be watching this on, the computer you're on, the first versions of what those were absolutely, well, in the opinions of some people, just absolutely horrible. The first time, ask any pastor right now, when you first got up on stage to go ahead and do your first sermon or get a chance to minister on that, were you ready for TBN at that point in time? Were you ready for primetime cameras? Probably not. And in fact, if anybody had a tape on you, you probably want to go ahead and burn it. So much has happened since then. And the more times that you got a chance to try, the better you got. Listen, everybody follows this process. And for perfectionists, they need to go ahead and know that that is the process. No one out there is perfect from the gate. Everyone has come through the 5 pillars of progress. And once you start embracing that, matter of fact, you'll be able to go ahead and break out so that you can begin to try more and more. So the more you try, the better you will get. Sound good? I hope it does. All right. So when appropriate, Also, too, let's continue here. So, when appropriate, I want you to focus and praise forward progress. Okay, that's the only thing. You're not praising perfection anymore. You're praising, but did we move though? Did we move the needle? No. You're on a weight loss journey. Did you lose all 40 pounds? No. But did you lose one or two? Yes. We're praising that type of forward progress. And as a leader in your church or matter of fact organization, I need you to remove the shame and stigma on that behind making mistakes. Instead, reward those who step out and try. Oftentimes you'll see siblings really giving themselves each other the business when they basically make a mistake. If you're a parent, what you want to do is basically now start squashing that from the very, very gate. In fact, praise the person who tried. Did they fail? Yes, but praise them all the more. That way, they don't avoid, matter of fact, opportunities to go ahead and try. They don't avoid mistakes but they basically get a chance to give themselves a chance to go ahead and learn, hey, here's an opportunity and I'm not afraid to go for it. And not only in the home, this is what I'm encouraging within boardrooms, within workshops, wherever you are, encourage each other to go ahead and try and create an atmosphere of that. And as a leader, the other thing that you can go ahead and do is become more transparent. Listen, when people see you in the nice car and a nice house and the accolades, they make a lot of mistakes of thinking, hey, you've always been amazing. But listen, if everybody's being honest, listen, our lives has not been one human highlight reel. A lot of us, matter of fact, had a lot of embarrassing moments before we got to what you consider great. Share that. Let them know. That way, individuals out there aren't chasing a perfectionist after the fact mentality. They're actually, matter of fact, say that they're getting a chance to now mimic or get a chance to copy a real person. And therefore, they feel encouraged that, hey, if so and so can go ahead and make a mistake, make a lot of mistakes, and still be able to go ahead and come out on top, so can I. And as a result of that attitude, they keep moving and they keep trying. And that's what we're trying to go ahead and do here. As silly as it sounds, this exercise will help perfectionists drop the all or nothing mindset. It's working with my clients, and I hope this is giving you guys some tips to go ahead and work with your people. It would also help stop the procrastination, take the pressure off trying to be amazing from the very jump, and to simply keep, matter of fact, trying with no fear of judgment. When appropriate, matter of fact, no fear of judgment. So there is one more thing that we can go ahead and do that's going to help you with that. And I want to make this offer to all of you. That's right. Thank you so much for taking the time to go ahead and listen to this. So here's my gift from me to you. And also, I want to provide every single person within the sound of my voice who is now seeing this, both currently and hopefully even in the replay. If you're saying to yourself, Des, I'm getting a lot out of this, but it would really be cool if I can do a bit of a deep dive for me and my team. If that's indeed the case, I want to go ahead and offer every single person who's hearing me right now a complimentary one-on-one coaching session with me. Okay, so that way we can get into a deep dive, private, to where you can go ahead and ask your questions and really get in there. And if this is something you feel, hey, I can really use in this season, how can I go ahead and sign up? It's very simple. Just go ahead and basically pull up your smartphone, whatever you have, Apple or Android, and simply text 21,000 21000 and put in coach me, all one word, coach me. And that will now pull up a calendar app for which you can go ahead and basically schedule a time that works for you and your team. All right, wonderful, guys. Okay, I'm sure you have questions, my friends, and all stuff, but if you don't, let's go ahead and basically move forward. I want to say thank you once again for the opportunity. My name is Desmond A. Blackburn. You can go ahead and find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Would love to go ahead and get your thoughts on what you thought about today's presentation. Was this helpful? I hope it was on that. So again, if you got these principles or questions, please reach out to me. I would love to go ahead and reach out to you. Okay, guys, it's been Desmond Blackburn. Thank you so much for the honor and privilege. And I want to remind you right now to do this. I want you to be great and stay clear. God bless you.